Hey everyone. So my goal for this video is I wanted to make a basic OBS how to use tutorial for anyone that just wanted to do their first stream. It's not going to go into any type of fancy stuff. It's just going to go over kind of the basics and um, how you can set up your stream so that it looks pretty good and anyone can tune into it and watch a good stream. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to go to the right side of the screen and start with these buttons. So you have the start streaming button and the start recording button. And when you push the start streaming button, everything that's here on the canvas will be seen by your viewer through the platform that you're streaming on. So if you're streaming on Twitch or Facebook or YouTube, as soon as you push the start streaming button, everything here they'll be able to see. Now, when you push start recording, that's actually making a video of your recording. So if you wanted to have a video to watch later, that maybe that you want to put on YouTube, or you just wanted to watch your own gameplay through your own movie player, the start recording button is the way to do that. You can actually click both of them at the same time, do a stream and record a video at the same time if you want to do that. The rest of these buttons, studio mode is not super important, and settings we're going to go into later. Scene transitions, not super important for basic streams. You can get away with this ignoring that. But if you ever wanted to have multiple scenes here, you can use this for effects. Now, the next important thing here is your audio mixer. Your audio mixer is the place where people can hear your game audio, and then they can also hear your microphone uh, where you're talking to your viewers. So as a streamer, most of them really they have a microphone to do streams. You don't necessarily need a microphone, but if you did want to talk to your audience, or if people are asking you questions in chat and you just didn't feel like typing, a microphone is really useful. But you can get away with not having a microphone if for some reason you don't. So there's two things here. We have desktop audio and the microphone, or just mic auxiliary. And with desktop audio is the sound that's coming out of your computer speakers. So if I'm listening to a video on the computer, or I'm listening to the video game music that's playing off of the computer, the desktop audio will catch that, and it will show on this green and yellow and red bar. So let's talk about, before I go into the microphone, let's just talk about setting up desktop audio. So you have this gear right here. So you just click on it, and then you go to properties. And depending on if you're using a microphone or if you're not using a microphone, this um, will change depending. So for right now, for what I'm doing, I'm using a Logitech USB headset. It's a headset that has headphones and a microphone attached to it. So basically, the desktop audio and the microphone are the same thing because I can listen to what's coming out of the computer with my headphones, and I can talk to you with my microphone attached to my headphones. So the headset is incredibly useful for streaming because you don't really have to worry too much about really fancy audio stuff, and you can still get pretty decent output for talking to people and also showing them game music or video music. But let's say that you don't have a microphone. Let's say that you just want to show people the game music and you don't care about talking with a microphone. So usually you probably want to set it on default, or you might actually have just the regular speakers that you might want to use. You can play around with this, and the way that you can tell is like if you put it on default or if you just put it on Realtek speakers, you'll see this bar go up and down. So right now I don't have any music playing. That's why the bar is silent. If I did play some music, then this bar would be going up and down, up and down. Um, if you have the game and you hear the game music and then this bar is not going up and down, that means you just have to go back into the settings, go into properties, and you have to kind of play around with which device the audio is coming out of. And most likely it's probably default or the speakers. So it's really easy. If you don't have a microphone, you don't really have to worry about it too much because all you're doing is capturing the game music and then that's it. Now, uh, you do the same thing. If you want to set up your microphone, you click on the cog that's underneath microphone and you go into properties. and then, it will show you the microphones that are actually on your computer, which is default, which is something the computer just picks, or microphone, the thing that I actually have plugged into my computer right now, which is my headset. Um, the reason that you wanna, if you do have a microphone, you probably like, let's say that you have a microphone that's on your desk. Uh, this difference between desktop audio and microphone is actually incredibly important, because let's say that you have speakers, for your computer, and you have a microphone that's on your desk. Then the microphone is going to pick up the speakers that are behind the microphone, and it's going to produce like a kind of like echoey sound. So a lot of times you would want your desktop audio to have like some type of headset that you're going to put in your ear, and then your microphone is going to be something completely different, which would just be like a regular microphone. So that way it's split up, and then you don't get that kind of weird echoey sound that the microphone's picking up from the speakers. And there's also lots of other fancy ways to prevent the microphone from picking up the desktop audio in that specific situation. But in this case, in terms of just maybe if you're just wanting to have the game music, all you got to do is set up desktop audio. And right here, if you don't care about a microphone, just click on the speaker and turn it to red. And then there you go. You don't have a microphone anymore. I just muted myself, right? So, all right. So that's how audio works, depending on what you want to do. So, do you want a microphone? Do you not want a microphone? Uh, is it going to be a headset with a microphone, or is it going to be a microphone that's on your desk? There's lots of different options. Depending on what you're doing, you want to set up your audio accordingly. Now, the next thing you want to do is, let me get a drink of water real quick, is set up what they're going to be seeing. So we have our scenes and our sources. The scenes are like folders. Everything that's here is going in this like little folder. It's kind of like a little container for all my pictures. This right here is actually called the canvas. The canvas is a big rectangle. It's just like if a canvas in real life. If I'm painting a picture on a white canvas, it's a blank rectangle that I put all my paint on to create a picture. So same thing in OBS. This is a big black rectangle that is the background or canvas for all my imagery that I'm going to present to the viewer. So scenes are like a folder that I put my images in that will go on the canvas. So you can see here I have lots of different types of sources, from pictures to the game to windows. This is actually a timer, which is a window. Um, so I can just I can like activate it. So this is like an actual application. It's not like a real picture. And there's lots of different ways that you can add things to your scenes, uh, to give the viewer a kind of engaging experience for your stream. I mean, sometimes you just want to show the game, but other times you might want to show images or play videos or other types of kind of like silly things that people can kind of get into. So let's see how we do it all. So the first thing you want to do, usually OBS already comes with a scene, but in case you ever wanted to create a new scene, all you got to do is go down to the plus button, left click it, push OK, or you can type in a name, and then bam, I have a new scene. And as you can see, it's all black because I don't have any sources. So let's go in and start talking about all the different sources, and I'll talk about the ones that are probably most important, and I'm gonna just mostly ignore the other ones. Oh, so browser is a way to show off. It used to be that window capture could probably capture your browser, but browser's probably a little bit more convenient. So if I want to capture something off of Chrome or Firefox or Windows Edge or whatever uh, browser I'm using, I just hover over it. So first off, I push the plus button, then I go over to browser, and I name it whatever I want. I call it browser, or I call it whatever I want, and then I push OK, and then it adds it to the scene And I can type in a URL for whatever I want, and I can change the height of it, or I can change the whatever. So I can just type in, you know, www.google.com, and then I can push OK, and then there you go. You have your web browser right there. So automatically I have a browser that I can capture. You could also use Windows. You could also use a window. Believe that if depending, you can also use a Windows capture to capture your own browser, but it just depends. All right, so the next important thing is display capture. Now, display capture actually captures everything on your computer itself. So whatever you're looking at your on your computer screen, everyone else can see it. So if you're looking at a website, everyone can see it. If you're looking at your game, everyone can see it. If you're looking at your pictures on your computer, everyone can see everything that you're doing. You don't really want to use display capture if you're only capturing the game because there's better methods to do it. So display capture is only for the time that you want to show people something on your computer. So it would have to be a very specific reason. The best ways to capture a game is game capture and window capture. So first, with game capture is the most direct way that you can do it. If you have a game running, if you have a Mario game, Skyrim, um, some other type of PC game that you're running, like Diablo or whatever, all you got to do is push the plus button, push game capture, push OK, and then I can say I can capture anything in full screen application, or I can capture a specific window. And that really depends on what mode the game's in. Most games start in full screen mode when you first start them. If you go into the settings, you can change it to a specific window. So let's see if I can capture a specific window. So I change it to specific window, and then I go down to window, and then already I have many different things that I can capture. I can capture live split, which was the timer that I had running. I could capture OBS, which is the program that I'm running. I could capture my Mario 3 game, and I can also capture my browser, which is um, that's basically whatever I was, whatever, like, Opera, Firefox, Windows Explorer type thing. So let's do a couple of game captures. Apparently, I can capture more than just games with game capture. So let's capture my browser first. So I just go to capture specific window. I go to whatever I'm trying to capture. In this case, it's my browser. And then the rest of this is not super important. You can kind of leave it as is, unless you just don't want to capture your mouse. You can unclick that. Yeah, I don't think that there's anything else. You can limit your capture frame rate too if you feel like you're using too much energy for your computer, but that's fine. So I push OK, see if something pops up. Sometimes it takes a while. See if it actually works. Sometimes OBS is kind of picky about what it's going to capture. I can go back and try again. Sometimes if it doesn't work, you just go back and you try again. You just click on properties. So sometimes if it doesn't work, you just you can just try it again. You go back to properties, try it again, change it to something else. Yeah, I think in this case it's not going to capture it. So because I think that it's not seeing it as a game. So we'll just go back to here for Mensen, which is where Mario 3 is running, and then I click that, and then yeah, it captures that. Okay, that's fine. I was kind of wondering why game capture was picking that up. Usually doesn't pick it up. All right, so I just added with game capture right here. I just showed you that I could capture Mario 3. Let's try window capture now. Let's see if I can get stuff with window capture. So I right click plus, click on window capture, push OK. And okay, so this is much better. Okay, now it's working. Okay. So the difference between game capture and window capture is that with game capture, I'm specifically capturing games that the computer recognizes. So Mario 3, Skyrim, Diablo, um, Sonic, whatever game you're playing on your computer, it will find. If I do window capture, window capture is literally picking up on any application program I have running on my computer. So let's go back and look at all the different stuff that I had. So I had my browser, which has a cat. I have OBS, and I also have Live Split, which was the timer that I had running in the background. So all those are specific windows that are running, window applications, window programs that are running on your computer right now that the computer can capture. And when I say capture, I literally mean taking the image and showing it to other people. So that's what it means by capture. Let's go and add other stuff. You can also add text. So same thing. And I can type in text box. I can select the font. I can change it to whatever. And I can change, I can make it vertical, I can make it horizontal. Then I just push OK, and then there I go. I have text on my screen that everybody can see. I can also add in a image. Same thing that I did before. And then I just go to Browse, and I just pick whatever image I want that's on my computer. And then I push OK again, and then there I go. I have an image. And I can also add in a media file. So let's say that I want to play a song that's on my computer at a specific time. I can click on media source, push OK, and then I can go browse and keep these settings the same. So you notice that it's not playing, and that's why the audio settings are important. So you go to Advanced Audio Properties. So you click on the media source. That's the thing that I just added. And I go to Advanced Audio Properties, and all I have to do is just, this is kind of like an independent source, so I just click on Mute Output, close.
That's a stone, Luigi. You didn't make it.
So then you can see that it plays over and over
That's a
again.
stone, Luigi. You didn't make it.
So you can do funny stuff on your stream. You can play a lot of stuff for people to enjoy. You can play music videos on Twitch, stuff like that. But the most important thing is having your game on screen and all the other stuff that you want to decorate on your canvas. So it's like a piece of artwork. It's like painting on a canvas. You arrange the boxes on the canvas so that it looks good for people to watch. So did you notice how all these boxes are covering each other? Well, the reason that they are is because all these lines, all these sources that I just added in, they all have an order. So the source that's on the very top is always going to be on top. Let me get rid of the media source so that's not confusing. Let me delete it. So you can delete a source by just pushing the minus sign. And you say yes. All right. So my image is the cat. The cat image is well, hold on a second. This is what's what? Okay, so this is my my image is on top, and you notice that my image covers everything. Like nothing ever goes on top. So if this has a specific order, if this image is on the very top, on the canvas, it's always on top. Everything on the bottom will always be on the far bottom. And then, so no one can now see anything that's on the canvas except for this picture. But if I took the browser, I hold the left click button and move it all the way to the top, suddenly now everyone can see the browser. as the top image. So this all has a specific order that I can change however I like. Um, and that's really useful if I want to hide things, or I want to make one image more important than another image, or one scene, one source more important than another source. So let's talk about how to manipulate the sources themselves. So you see that that the box right here for Mario has different types of squares around it. If I hold the left click button and then go and move the mouse, suddenly the box expands or decreases. So I can like make a big box like this, and then suddenly I have, a good game uh, that everyone can see. Uh, Another way that you can manipulate the box without having to, just expand all the sides is if there's a button called the shift button that's usually underneath your caps locks button or the capital locks button. If you hold that button on your keyboard and then click on the left mouse button, then I'm only moving one side of the box. So I can do this. So now I can like stretch it like this. I can grab this side, hold the shift button, shift it like that. And now I can only now I can just kind of manipulate it side by side. Another thing that you can do is you can also cut your images. So let's say that I don't want this blue here. If you hold the Alt key, the ALT key, that's usually next to the space bar. On your keyboard, it might be different. It might be another button, but on a regular keyboard, it's called the ALT button or the Alt button. So if you hold down that button, and then you hold down the left mouse button, and you just start cutting the image. And I'm just going to stop here, and then I let go of the mouse button and the Alt button, and there you go. I now have a smaller image. It doesn't change the actual image itself on your computer. It only changes it on the canvas. So that's really useful. So like if I have something like I don't want people to see, I can just cut it out. Another thing to notice is these eyeball buttons. I can make everything disappear, or I can make it reappear. So let's say that I'm tired of my all my pictures. I'm like, I only want the game to be on screen. So I just go 1, 2, 3, and 4, and now I have uh, all that to disappear. They're still there. Like you can see these blue boxes appearing, like they're still there. They're just invisible, so people can't see them. Hold shift, hold shift. I can just show everyone my game. Now notice how the game looks kind of bad as I keep stretching it out. So you want to make sure that you don't overstretch out your images. Sometimes windows can be smaller on your computer, and when you try and stretch them out on OBS, they look really bad. So you want to make sure that your game is not overstretched out. Usually for PC games, that's not too big of a deal. For things like playing Mario 3 on a small screen, like an emulator, it can be a big deal. So you want to make sure that it looks proper so that it doesn't look, really weird and stretched out. Okay, so that should be everything for that. I think that we went over how to kind of set up things. So the next thing that I want to talk about is the settings. Settings control the kind of background stuff that you're going to be streaming. So easiest way is this button down here, settings. You just click it. And this general bar is just kind of like optional stuff. A lot of things that you might prefer or things that you don't prefer. You can just kind of go through it at your own pace if you have something that you want to consider. The most important button is the stream button because it tells you that your service, which is we're streaming on Twitch. You might be streaming on a different service like YouTube or Facebook, but the main platform that I'm streaming on is on Twitch. So I want that set to Twitch, and then the server, which is the connection that your computer is connecting to another computer in a different city. Usually just leave it on auto unless I have a certain city in mind. You can see I have Miami, Atlanta, Ashburn. I could connect to any of those cities all the time, but I just leave it on auto so that it goes to the best place all the time. Most of the time when you download OBS, it will have automatic settings. Like it will say, "Do you want OBS to automatically set up your computer?" You should say yes, and let it set up your computer. You also should know uh your Twitch name and your Twitch password when you do the automatic settings. That way it can access your account and automatically connect your Twitch account to OBS. So you want to make sure that you know your Twitch name and password when you're doing the auto settings after the installation. The next important thing is your output. Um, right here is you just want to keep it on simple mode for now. Your video bitrate is how much it takes for me, the viewer, to download your stream. So 2500 is usually a safe bet for things like PC games because everyone can watch it at a good quality, and generally people's internet are um, generally good enough to catch your stream unless they're on really bad Wi-Fi. But if you really want everyone to watch your stream, you probably can bump it down to 2000 or 1900. And what happens when you bump the number down or when you make the number go down is that the visual that they see kind of decreases because they're seeing less of the video as often, or they're not seeing as much as they could while they're getting information from your computer about watching the game. So 2500 is always pretty good because it's always a nice image and people can kind of see what's going on. And then, but if you're afraid that people maybe can't see it, or you're not really streaming a PC game that's super attractive, you could probably go to 1900 or 2000, and it might take a load off your computer as well. Software encoder, usually X264 is probably good. You have a really amazing computer, you can do NavEc, but I don't recommend it. I feel like sometimes if you're streaming a really intensive game and also streaming at the same time, your computer can come under a lot of heat. Audio bitrate can stay the same. Your encoder, just set it to fast. It's you can set it to these higher settings or these lower settings, but keeping it in the middle is probably just as good. And this stuff is where your video goes if you want to do video recording. So keep it on high quality. Uh, Set the file type to like FLV or MP4, stuff like that, and then the encoder can stay on NVEC, for good quality. Audio, the same thing that we talked about in audio, you can do here in terms of choosing what your desktop audio would be and then what your microphone would be. So if you went down to the gear, you could do that, or if you go into settings in audio, you could also change it. The advantage here is that you can change it at the same time. This general settings for your sample rate is probably the best thing. Just kind of keep it as is. The rest is just not super important. You can just keep it as is. The video part is really important. The canvas resolution or the base canvas resolution is the size or dimensions of your actual computer monitor. So if you're looking at your computer screen, that is your base canvas. For me, my monitor is a 1920 by 1080. It's a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. If you're using a laptop monitor, your monitor is probably going to be smaller. So it's going to be the dimensions will be less. Usually when OBS does the installation, it should automatically set your base canvas resolution so you don't have to look it up. Um, but if you do, you can go into your computer settings and you can kind of find what your base resolution should be. Or you can just do a search on the internet saying, how do I find my monitor size or my computer monitor resolution? And the output scale resolution is going to be smaller than the base canvas because the output is what your viewer is going to be seeing. Usually a safe number is 1280 by 720 because that gives a pretty good, smaller image of what you're actually seeing from your monitor. That way you don't lose quality. Some people can go down to like 1096, 616 sometimes if you really want to. I think that 1280 by 720 is just a basic standard for what you want to do. And then also your frames per second or FPS. If you don't want too much of an intense battle with your computer, sometimes you can keep it on 30 to kind of lower stuff up. You can just, or if you keep it on 60, 30 or 60 depending. Sometimes you have to play around with the features based on your computer just to see if how much your computer can take and then how good the quality can be for the viewer. You can also set hotkeys for your sources down here. So we have your sources and our scenes. And if I wanted to start recording or pause the recording or start the stream or stop the stream, I can assign buttons on my keyboard to do that. I can also switch screens. I can show certain images. I can play certain sounds um, based on what's under my current scene and pushing the buttons on the keyboard that I assign here. So that's really convenient if you're the type of person that really wants to have everything as a button on your keyboard as opposed to just clicking through menus or doing stuff. And a lot of people that do advanced streams usually have a lot of hot buttons because they want images or sounds on demand, or they want to switch to a different type of scene. Like maybe they want to show people a video. They don't want to like click through their scenes and sources to find the transition. So they just have a hot button assigned so that they can go there instantly. And then advanced is not super important. Most of that can be left as is unless you have a specific a specific reason for doing that. So that should be everything. So you now have all the knowledge to set up your games and set up your audio and set up the background uh, mechanics so that OBS can broadcast to Twitch or your uh, your platform of choice. So yeah, thanks for watching this video, and I hope that it helps, and hope you have a great stream.